Well, good morning. It's the next day after I was on the Catalina base on the end of the northwestern side of Palm. Malachi's just parked here and I'm sitting right now on Fantome Island. Once again surrounded by death. There's a goat head right there amongst all the rubble. What's happening today, I'm going to walk the last part of the monastery, and this is known as the place where the really bad ones were, the really bad leprosy dudes were, that were getting cleaned up, and then from here they got transferred to the other end of the island where I was the other day on this film. And this place here, you can see there's some stone rocks areas. Go over to this spot, not too sure what this is, but this is the place where Eva Guy brought me. The other place I've never been to. It's quite interesting. So this place here is where I'm going to show some photos of what once used to be here. There's avenues, as you can see there's rock avenues through here. Some sort of base, maybe flagpole, but a few rock avenues. I'm going to go for a walk about. Once again, a very sad place, very sad. And I'm going to try and find the staircase. The only thing that I got missing at the moment is that the elders on Palm Island couldn't find the photo of the nuns that were sitting on the actual staircase in front of this big monastery that all got burnt down by the government back in 1973. But once again, this place is just littered with history. Some sort of big base here that would have been maybe a church or something. But I'll go down the main avenue, see what's left. It's only a small place, this one, compared to the other place was huge. And I've got to conserve footage, film. So I'll just go walk about and find what I can see that's interesting. Goat tracks. Basically eating everything. It's green. The rock wall constructions here are huge. For the labour that was done, when you see the size of these rock boulders all placed on this wall over there, big rock boulders. Not too sure what these places are. They're either where they buried the dead, they could be walking amongst tombs here. Bit funny to bury it right in the middle of the monastery, but who knows. Probably elders later on went and placed the rocks around the place. It's just a beautiful timeline to know the labour, like these rocks, all these rocks here, probably rolled down from the hill to put in place to make it easier. But still, very hot work, very hot work. Just going over to this big rock wall. Try and find where this big monastery was. If you look at the size of these boulders here, there would have been some labour, a lot of labour done to make such a rock wall avenue to come up to a place where this big monastery was. I just wish I had the photo of it. The whole idea was to stand, that's interesting, I'll go up there, stand in the front of the staircase and film the before and after when it was in its prime time back between 1930 and 1973 when it was all operating. What a rock wall. Why they went to so much trouble here Whoop. I gotta tell you, it's very, very hot in December time. That is some good rock work here. But I suppose that's one thing they had on their hands was a lot of time. Spiderwebs. Hate spiders. Up the top here. Plumbing. Old pipes. What I love in this timeline is where people once walked everywhere. This obviously was a big pad here. Try and find where the monastery steps are. That's a lot of rock work. Old concrete slab. I'm going to walk down all around there, but I've got to find this monastery staircase. There's lots of things to look at, try and remember where I once was. But I was here 15 years ago. This is actually quite a nice place. I just love how all the black boys are in there. There's just a massive amount of rock wall. Judging by the way there's lots of rocks up there and no rocks there, that they've actually rolled them down to build part of the wall and sort of scalped the hill at the same time. There's a track, I'd say it's a goat track, but I reckon the people walked this track all the way to the other monastery is at the other end, where I was a couple of days ago. So I'd say this was a really well walked track. I'll just go along it for a couple hundred feet through the avenue of black boys. I actually really like this type of bush. It's been very well hammered down by the goats. Once again, it's great having that boat get into all these shallow places and where you can park it. Definitely a goat track, but I'm not going to do it for too far. My business is down the hill. Anyway, unfortunately tide's the boss, and I got a meeting before 1 o'clock back on Fantome Island. And I got to do this pretty quick. Long time ago, these shells would have been brought up by people. Just left here, brought up from down below. Great rock wall. Yeah, another dead goat just there. So I'm not too sure if some of the ones around here have been shot out and just left to drop. They haven't taken the bodies or any part of it to eat. So they could have just died from thirst. But whatever was there, I don't know. Maybe they were actually, that is an idea. It could have been where they grew plants or something, keep the goats out, but a goat can easily get over that. Old cooking spots. Have a scout around here. It could have been rock walls where there was a little house pad in there. Just need to find the staircase. Old plumbing. Frangipani tree, which would have been planted bay back then. A good 40-50 years old, that one. Don't know what it was, maybe a fireplace. Judging by the old brick. Good timeline. As I said, I'm on the scout for this staircase. There's an old water drain here. That's part of the covering over it. Scoop drain all the way down to the bottom there. A dish, lid to a cooking pot. Very nice terraced rock work. Pads over here. Well, this just shows you the size of some of the buildings that were here built. And this is people working, doing some wood chopping. This is the other end of the island where I was. I walked through that avenue just there. That's at the other end. And these are what the houses look like that had people in them for washing and hospitalising. Another pad. Little staircase. Bit of an avenue down there, sort of a billabong soak there. So back in its time when it was well watered, bit of rain, different weather patterns, it would have been a pretty good place. Very dry now. I'm going to look for some more evidence. More death just behind me there. Dead goat. Another avenue I'm walking along. To just think that each one of these rocks that was placed here by a human being has now passed on. They're in their rest, asleep, waiting for the second resurrection. Another pad just over here. Great bushwalking stuff, very easy to go through. Goats are really taking care of that. There's a bit of a house pad here and a lot of concrete here. Much cooler place of the day to be in, I'd say. There's the beach through there. Going down water. I was there a couple of days ago, came in my boat and went back out. Lucinda is way over there and Hitchinbrook's that way. Bit of a spring flow down here in this ravine. Oh, I just found something I didn't see before. That's a massive reservoir, pond. Very interesting. I'll go down there, follow that creek out. So obviously the water would flow down this ravine here, and they had the sense to build a massive dam, holding pen of water. Look, barrel side of a goat that fell in and couldn't get out. A couple of goats. Death everywhere. There's a So this would have held water quite a bit. Over time it's all cracked. Water would just flow down there and fill up this. Very good. Head pressure. Concrete beams. First time I've seen concrete beams. Either it was a nice big swimming pool. Would have been lovely if that was full of water. But once again, death smiling at me. No more death. It's claimed the lives of 3 goats so far. There's 1, 2, 3 heads. 4 goats have perished in here. Died of starvation, couldn't get out. They know not to come to this place. And there's the water spring diverted off. Would have been quite a bit of labour putting this together. This will be nicely running in its day when in the wet season. Beautiful little ponds to have a swim in. Be nice to come here in the wet. Anyway, I'm going to make my way back down this hill. It's like an Egyptian scene of rock work, masonry work. This ground's quite fertile here. If you just till it up and put some cow manure and chook poo in it, it'd be great. Goat. He's buggered. Lack of water. It's gone into the tangled forest. Well, this explains a few things. These old train tracks. There's some batfish just in the water there. There are winches out there by the look of it, some part of it. So that's how they did it when they got things ashore. They'd come in so far with a dumb barge or something, and then the rest would be winched up here and taken up there. Supplies and things, you know, things they needed. But I got to move my boat before I bottom out. Actually, I'm going to be stuck here, so it's time for me to go. So I say that's it for this timeline on Fantome Island. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. That's nice. That's a gift for Peanut Guy. Really good Nautilus shell. Ah, that's a little blessing. It's like a... Yeah, hello. Yeah, Peanut, can you hear me? Yeah, alright. Oh, there's a dead baby. That's sad. Obviously this baby died. Very bad sunburn and lack of water. It's a sad ending for the baby. But I'm not going to touch it. I'll leave it here. But I've got to find a way out of here now. This is no good.